Lake Ronkonkoma, Princess Ronkonkoma, and all that stuff?
Yeah.
You familiar with it?
Nah.
No? Okay. Well, the story goes back in the 1600s. Princess Ronkonkoma fell in love with a white settler, and her father, the chief of the tribe, forbid her from seeing him. And she was very sad, and she went out in a canoe and she killed herself. And the story goes from there that every year since then, she has taken a male victim in the lake by drowning. And there hasn't been a victim every year, but there have been a lot of male drownings in the lake for a lot of different reasons. Very few female drownings in the lake. But, so, anyway, long story short, we're aware of this whole story, the ghost story. And I take my students there diving all the time. We go in, you know, whether we're diving on targets or just swimming around artifact hunting. This particular day, we were diving around artifact hunting. So what we're doing is we're swimming along, we have a bag with us, and we're feeling under the silt in the mud, and you feel a bottle or something like that, you grab it, throw it in the bag until you fill up the bag. And once it's too big to really lug around anymore, then we'll go over into shallow water and dump it, and then go back out and swim around some more and fill it up again. We just dumped our bags and we were going back out into deeper water so we could go back down and do a little more hunting. There are areas in the lake that are very comfortable to dive in, and there are areas in the lake that aren't comfortable. If you know the terrain of it, it's like a big shallow basin, like a soup bowl. And most of it's 15, 20, 25 feet deep, but then there are funnels that go down that actually attach to the aquifer. That's where the springs come in, and it goes down like 40, 60 feet in some spots. You don't want to dive in there because the bottom is always stirred up, there's no visibility, it's creepy. You can't see what you're in, you can get entangled in things, you don't know what's down there. So we swam back away from the shore after we dumped our bottles, and we said we're going to submerge here. I knew it was close to one of the deep holes. So I told the students that I was with, if we submerge and we get deeper than 20 feet or so, we're going into the deep hole, we're going to come right back up to the surface, move over, and drop down again. And so we submerged. One of my students, the female, got separated from us, and we went down, hit the bottom. My other student came right back up to the surface. My student, Mary Ann, she didn't come to the surface. Now, I was a little bit concerned, but I'm watching her bubbles. And you can monitor a person's emotional state by looking at their bubbles, because you're looking at their rate of breathing, their respiratory rate, and also the volume of bubbles that are coming up. If somebody's comfortable, there'll be very small quantities of bubbles coming up at a regular interval. Like they're just breathing, it's cool. Or they're going to be very excited and nervous, and they're going to be breathing rapidly and deeply, and there's all kinds of bubbles coming up all over the place. They're in trouble, you know? Or there's no bubbles coming up at all. You know, we got a real problem. But so I'm looking at her bubbles, and it was normal respiration. She was totally comfortable, everything was fine. But she wasn't coming back to the surface like she was supposed to. So I waited a minute, and said, okay, I'm gonna go look for her. So I was gonna swim over to her bubbles and follow her bubble trail down to the bottom and locate her. Just as I began to do that, she came back to the surface. Like, okay, what happened? You were supposed to come up right away. She goes, well, I got to the bottom, I lost you guys. I spun around in a circle. We're trained to do that as divers. You do a 360 look and see what's around you, situational awareness, because I couldn't see anything. I was just going to come to the surface, and all of a sudden, I was approached by a glowing blue light. And this blue light came right up to me, and then I felt myself completely enveloped, embraced by long, dark hair. Now, mind you, she's in a 7mm wetsuit, and you can't feel anything in a suit. So she's embraced by long, black flowing hair in zero visibility. And she says, then the hair released her and the blue light went away. And she came up to the surface and told us the story and totally freaked us out. So it wasn't deep enough that it was like a nitrogen narcosis issue where she was, you know, altered mental status or something like that. The student that told me this, she's now a PhD marine biology professor. She graduated from Stony Brook. She's working for Suffolk Community College. She insists the story is true. I've known her for a lot of years as a student, both before and after the incident. She's not the kind of person that makes up stories. I told her I was writing a magazine article about it, using her name. She was totally cool with it. I did a television show about it, using her name. She was totally cool with it. She insists that it's true, and I believe her. I don't know what it means. I have no idea what's in there, but she says that it happened. So who wants to go diving in the lake?